Hey everybody, so I'm on Facebook a lot and I have a lot of people comment and I like to express unpopular opinions, and sometimes it's my own insecurity and fear of rejection that makes me want to seem valuable with my unpopular opinions, but another part of it is knowing that I can kind of get away with it, and some of them need to be said. And I was just thinking maybe I should just start making videos to my comment, like the commenters on Facebook puts a face to it. I think it's a lot more personal, like just like with texting. My friend said maybe texting should not be emotional, it should just be factual, and I think I agree. And maybe the same goes for Facebook comments and that type of thing to a certain extent. Maybe we should just be making videos of ourselves. But anyways, so we're talking about coronavirus, and I'm out here in the street, and if I have my bandana down, then I get dirty looks, and I try not to, I hate when people are upset with me. It really triggers something in me, some personal issues that I have to deal with. But maybe it's an opportunity to talk to people and say, hey, I see that you're glaring at me because I don't have a mask, even though we're 6 feet apart and we're outside, and probably the spread of coronavirus due to this is highly unlikely. And are we really trying to stop coronavirus, or does it have to just run its course? We're obviously trying to flatten the curve and not overload, and we don't want anyone to die. Every life is precious, and that's why I think we need a healthy and respectful dialogue about how to go about preventing coronavirus as much as possible, with respect to people's lives, livelihoods, emotions, and all these things. And part of that story might be that it does have to kind of run its course until 60 or 70% of the people have had it, and then they will have antibodies, because you say that the jury is still out on whether or not you get antibodies, but the fact is that there's so few cases that seem to be repeat cases, like literally a handful, that basically the understanding established is that there are antibodies to getting it. So it's possible we have to just run the course until 60% or 70% of the people have had it. Hopefully those are the least vulnerable people that get it. So we do need to, if you're living with vulnerable people, older people, then maybe you should be wearing masks and social distancing and maybe quarantining, lockdown. But the other people, in a sense, are not should get it, go out and get it, but are gonna get it anyways. It's like, I think it's possible we're making the decision of who to get it. So when people are outside, and the real one clear problem to me is shaming people and associating the characterization of being dangerous, being malicious, not caring about human life that we put upon people if they don't follow our standards of lockdown, of quarantine, of masks and stuff like that. And I think we should respect people's distrust of certain institutions, including the World Health Organization and the CDC. I think people sort of had a healthy distrust of those organizations before this, and now the fear, understandably, has led us to now be really, CDC-like spokespeople. And the next thing is, I think, well, starting here, like, there's a lot of ways that you can make the data seem different. I think it makes sense to me that an organization or a group of scientists would want to create as pessimistic a result of a study, so that they can be recognized, their organization, for their funding and things like this. Listen, scientist is not equal to a saint. It doesn't make you a saint to be a scientist, or a healthcare worker for that matter. It doesn't make you always right. It doesn't make you more moral than anyone else. It doesn't mean that you're less interested in making money or even becoming greedy in the work that you're doing. And I just think that's just a possibility. Like, yes, I have the utmost respect for healthcare workers, and I don't want to stress them out any more than they have to be. It's terrible that people have to watch people die. But also, it's my point is really about the fear, because the fear is making the health care situation worse even. There's people getting COVID whose family cannot come in to see them and cannot advocate for them and cannot choose what kind of treatments they have. And there are monetary incentives for certain equipment and certain treatments, like potentially including ventilators. Like, this stuff happens. It's how it's set up. So we have to stop attacking people for a healthy level of critical thinking when it comes to the incentives. So it doesn't mean that all people are bad and all the healthcare industry is totally bad. It just means that if we don't acknowledge the incentives for companies to sell more healthcare products, then we're going to end up treating our victims worse. They're going to get the wrong treatments. They're going to get treatments that are too invasive for them. And we've always seen this in the healthcare industry, but since the virus, it seems like we have thrown away our level of healthy critical thinking when it comes to this. I've heard reports that certain people don't need ventilators, that is the wrong treatment for some people. So, and then going back to my earlier point about like studies and the study of coronavirus. I'm not saying that all scientists are wrong or that we shouldn't like have respect for science, but you know, if you have a study, if your study like shows that coronavirus lasts 5 hours airborne, I mean, I just read something from BBC that said one study said that coronavirus can last for several hours in the air. I mean, I just feel like we could make a study that said the most extreme and the most scary things, and that would probably get the most attention. And I just want a healthy level of critical thinking when it comes to these studies that are out. Yeah, coronavirus could go through, like it was saying, fold a 600 thread pillowcase 4 times, and that'll only block out 60% of the air particles and this and that. And it's like, how long do we wear these masks? So it's all coming down to the point of, does it have to run its course? And that's the real question. I think people think that we can stop it in its tracks or something, but I don't believe that is the academic or the medical consensus on this. I believe more that the medical consensus, when it comes down to it, is going to be that it has to run its course. So when we go and we produce studies that say that coronavirus can last several hours in the air, you're just making like healthy people too afraid. And my question is does it just need to run its course? And in that case, we need basically healthy people to not to go out and get it, but we need healthy people to continue living continue being healthy, which includes emotional, exercise, fresh air, not always having a mask over your face which limits your airflow. So yeah, and again, I just feel like, I don't like when people are mad at me, but this is a time where people are going to be mad at each other, I think, no matter what. And I'm going to learn to take that and look at it objectively without emotion and understand where people are coming from and say, hey, I notice you're glaring at me because my mask isn't on, even though we're 6 feet apart and we're outside in the glaring sun. or something like that, and just try to figure out where people are at, because I honestly think that some people are being pressured into the fear, and they're looking for people to look to who are saying, they're having a different opinion about it, and it just really, the main point is like, don't shame people, don't associate like selfishness and like and lack of morality with like how low you wear your mask, or whether you always have your mask on or something like that. That to me is wrong. I think more and more I tend to believe that if someone's directly doing something wrong, then we're more capable of addressing that if we don't group everyone else who's subconsciously, inadvertently, indirectly doing something wrong on the same level. And that kind of goes for socially too. I think a lot of people don't have orientation or awareness to the state of the systems that are oppressive to certain groups. And I think to a certain extent, if we say that every sort of ignorant or uninformed, and even some of the selfish and egotistical things that people do or say that are related to the systems that are oppressive in the world, that we are less capable of acting on the more direct systemic oppression that exists. And I guess, a healthy level of guilt and realizing that you're complicit in something, and realizing that the comment that you made was insensitive. Yes, but those, I think we're going to make comments that are going to be insensitive and offensive no matter what. And I guess that's kind of like with the virus. It's like there's some people that think that no matter what, the virus has to run its course. And the same goes for, it's a similarity with the systems of oppression and things like that. Like, there's gonna be comments made, there's gonna be insensitivity, and oppression is still a reality of today that we need to fix and we need to solve. But I think judging and shaming people, and I'm not saying that like not wearing a mask is the same as making an offensive joke that hurts someone's feelings. Those are different things. But if I'm talking more about like the inadvertent, unintended harm that we all do to people all the time, allowing for some forgiveness there and some understanding there, not necessarily because people deserve it. People do deserve a second chance, but overall it's kind of just more practical to be a little more understanding with people and let people be seen and heard. Same goes for people that are for masks and staying home 24 hours a day. Like, those people need to be heard and seen too, even though they're kind of spreading fear. And even though the guy in the park was, people are so putting the number of dead next to one random method of slowing the virus. Like, 100,000 people in the US are dead. Wear a mask. Okay, you just, you put... I think this is disrespectful to the people who have died to somehow, like, posit that if everyone had been wearing a mask, that they wouldn't be dead. That's not true. People are going to die from COVID no matter what. People are going to die from a lot of things no matter what. The question is, can we just keep respecting each other? If that's what it's about, then I think we all deserve respect, because not wearing a mask or not social distancing does not necessarily mean disrespect or maliciousness, I think. This is a new thing for us. This is a new thing for pretty much anyone. Lockdowns are not common. I'm surprised how willing people were to be to conform to it, and some of it is good surprise. I'm glad that, I'm learning. I just don't like to listen to people, so I'm learning how to sort of fall in line and have people be upset at you for no reason. Not that those are the same thing, but I don't know. I just find it's really difficult to have an unpopular opinion today, that we need to let people have their opinions without putting a whole number of dead on them or a whole system of oppression at their feet. Even if we deserve it, it's not practical, I think, and it's a better message to always be respectful to people. If people aren't wearing a mask or something and you think they should be, then just be respectful. That's all. All right, I talked for 17 minutes. I have no idea why or how, but surely gonna annoy people and piss people off, and I think maybe I'm feeling bad for myself, for sure, a little bit. I'm trying not to do that. I'm sorry. But I do think that sometimes when I do feel bad for myself, it is relevant to some of the things that other people are feeling, who have trouble expressing it. So I hope it's encouraging to people. I think we should be encouraged. I think we should think positively about this all and just continue to respect each other and also fight against injustice and fight against oppression wherever we see it. But part of that, I think, is not always associating indirect and unintentional harm with direct and intentional harm. I think we'll be better capable of directly solving these problems that way if we're not so quick to shame people for indirect and even ignorance, and even sometimes if somebody's being disrespectful, I think just give them respect. That's all.